Hardy, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I'm going to be frank. I never liked country music. And then I got turned on to truck bed and I was like, whoa, I think I like country music. What's going on with
Come
this
on over.
dude?
It's the water's well, the water is fine. No, that's cool. I appreciate that. I get that a lot, and I think it's cool that I mean, I love rock and roll, and I definitely bring that to country music. But I think it's cool. I also love country music. So if any fans that I can recruit, I'm happy about.
I dig it. Yeah, the new album Quit. We've been playing tracks off of it. And I got to ask you, what inspired you to really dig into the rock part of your soul?
It's just a lot. It's a big part of who I am, and I think I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't go that direction. At least every now and then, if it's not all the time. I to be honest, my first rock record, sorry, excuse me, my first record was technically a country record, and I had a couple of songs on there that were a little bit heavier than the rest of the record. And when I would play live, those would always be the biggest songs in the set. Even like I would play a hit and it would still not react the way that some of these heavier songs would react. And so the fans were the first people to really give me the courage to be like, okay, this is something I want to do and something that I love, and it's also doing really well live, and people seem to be reacting to it. So the next record, I had a few more. I released Jack on the next record, which ended up being my first rock hit, and but that was on like a half and half country and rock record. And so with Quit, I just said, you know what, let's just do it. Let's write an entire rock record. Obviously, there's a lot of country lyric and there's still a lot of things that are very country about it, but yeah, just a slow, gradual encouragement from my fans really pushed me over the edge.
You normally we'll ask, "Hey, who's your influences?" But I think is it fair to say that your influences, your musical influences, is your dad?
Yeah, I
Or
mean he was the first one for sure. He introduced me to a lot of his music, and then I think that led me to kind of discover my own taste. But anything that fell under the umbrella of like classic rock, he was a fan of. Um, there's some stuff that he instilled in me at an early age where he thought some bands were cheesy, and he's like, "Don't listen to that. That's cheesy," stuff like that. But um, yeah, he forced music on me, but I'm like in the best way. From like my first memories of life are literally listening to music with my dad. And yeah, from then, I discovered metal and new metal and all the cool stuff that happened around the 2000s and stuff. And that's not so much for him, but he's definitely responsible for my first love being rock and roll.
what was the cheesy stuff he told you to stay away from?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask. I don't want to say.
Oh, come on,
Let's
man.
just
George
let's just
Michael, what's
say
up?
it was it's a lot of stuff in the 80s, maybe a lot of the hair metal stuff in the
Okay.
80s. Not all of it, but some of it, which some of it I have gone back and been like, actually this is really good, and there's some that I'm still not a big fan of.
That's great. At what point did you know that you were gonna be a songwriter? I know you went to school for songwriting, correct? Tennessee?
I went to Middle Tennessee State University, which is just south of Nashville. But I was 19 years old, and I was going to like community college in Mississippi, and I wrote like one song, and literally one song. And my couple of my buddies were just like, yeah, this is pretty good. You should go try to move to Nashville. It's not far. And my sister had moved up there, and they were like, you can always come back home. You should just try to do it. And I just had no really ambition or no reason to stick around, so I just took off to Nashville. It was just it was like on a whim. And I studied songwriting in school, but I tell people like that was really a lot more about like the industry. Like I feel like your innate songwriting ability, like there were some kids in there in the classes that were like amazing who have now gone on to be like songwriters in Nashville, and there's some kids that like sucked, but we all passed, you know what I mean? So it's like, how much can you really teach it? But I did learn a lot about the music industry. But my kind of aha moment of like I should go be a songwriter was just very, at the time, like very nonchalant, and was just like, yeah, screw it, I'll move to Nashville and give it a shot. And then I really fell in love with songwriting once I got there, over the course of a few years.
So you obviously wrote a lot of big songs for a lot of big people, Blake Shelton, Morgan Wallen in particular. When was the moment that you said, you know what, I'm gonna go do this for me? party
So
and step out?
it was like 2018. I was starting to really kind of get some traction as a songwriter. I'd written two or three number ones and was started, like just making a little bit of money, like, like really actually being like, okay, this is, I could turn this into a career. And so people just started kind of getting in my ear about singing my own songs and you got a thing, you got a voice, you can do your thing, blah blah blah. And a record label that I had become kind of friends with just through the artists that they had, and I had been writing songs for their artists, called me in one day and just pretty much just slapped a record deal in front of me, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, all my buddies are touring, they're all looking at me like Billy Madison when he shakes the kid,
Mhm.
it says don't ever grow up. They're like, this is tough, it's hard, you're going to be time away from your family and things you love. And so I mean, my I didn't really move to Nashville with like stars in my eyes and think like, man, I want to be a famous singer one day or anything like that. I actually took the record deal home and sat on it for a really long time, for a few months, and really thought about it. And then I said, I feel like this is an opportunity and not like a burden, and I shouldn't be afraid of this. And so I jumped right in, and here we are.
And here you are, man. Quit is such a great album. We played Psycho quickly, and we're on Jim Bob right now. And who is Jim Bob?
Jim Bob can be anybody that anybody can be Jim Bob. Jim Bob is not like a real guy. I didn't really know a guy like an ex-military guy or anything like that I specifically wrote the song about. But there was this old redneck dude in my hometown named Jim Bob. So and I just I took the name, and I thought, I want to write this song about a guy who's just kind of stuck in his ways, and it just sort of turned into what it did. I was actually I was deer hunting when I wrote the verse and chorus to that song, and so I brought it in to my buddies and we finished it. But I wanted to write a song about a character. Like Primus did that a lot, and with Mr. Know It All and My Name Is Mud. I mean, there's so many. John the Fisherman, like he had a character, and I just have always wanted to do that, and that's just what we ended up with.
Yeah, because I feel like Jim Bob is a real dude. Obviously, I mean and I feel like he's everywhere. I really feel like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
There's all
absolutely.
kinds of different versions of Jim Bob, but if you also get on Facebook and you just search Jim Bob, there's a bunch of really good looking like guys that fit the description of Jim Bob too. I definitely did that.
You nailed it. You were talking about country music versus rock music. What do you find? I know you love country music, but what do you find really appealing about doing rock music?
Um, to me, like growing up, I've always like turned my nose up at anything that you couldn't like bang your head to, and I don't know what emotion that like evokes or what, but to me that just the emotion that comes behind like heavy guitars, and like there's just something healing about that, or there's just something that makes me feel good about that. And uh that's all I got. There's all kinds of great things that rock and roll offers. I really think so. But for me personally, the what's appealing is just how much it makes you want to just bang your head. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe a therapist will tell you that that's getting some emotion out, but that's what it's always done for me. It's just made me want to just like bang my head and just kind of just whatever emotions I'm feeling, just sort of get them out. Country is different. Country is like you tell stories and you make people, uh, you know, write things that are super relatable, and rock, you can definitely do that too. But I think the space for rock is to make people feel things musically as opposed to lyrically more.
A lot of lives have been saved through a Slipknot record,
Yeah,
right? A lot of lives, yeah.
early. Yeah.
I heard the cover of Gin and Juice.
Yeah.
It's very good. What? How did that come about?
So my manager called me one day and just said, "Dude, you're not gonna believe this, but Jimmy Iovine just called me and asked me if Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre just called me and asked if you wanted to do a cover of Gin and Juice to help promote their gin and juice alcoholic drink that they're putting out." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, what do we, how?" And so from there, I was on a Zoom call, and like just pops up Dr. Dre and pops up Jimmy Iovine, and we start talking about creative stuff and like, well, can I make it my own? Because it's got to sound natural to something I would do. And they're like, sure, we love it, and blah blah blah, and this and that. And yeah, then then the next thing I know, I was out in LA and shooting a music video with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. And like, there's a scene where like he literally, I don't even know if it made the edit. I think it did, but like he cusses me out like in this little back room of like this bar. It's awesome. Like it was just a crazy pinch me moment that, you know, happens once every, just not that often in the music industry, but it was just a cool moment that came completely out of the blue.
I love it, man, and I love how you're bending the genre of country and bringing people like me in. I mean, you see my Metallica shirt. I'm like country, and I really, I'm now I'm kind of listening to more of it. So you open the door for a lot of people, and I can't wait to see you T-Mobile May
Yeah.
23rd. The Jim Bob tour. There's another guy on your tour,
Steven Wilson Jr., legend. So good.
Oh, dude, he does that tune 1994, which is epic.
So good.
Absolutely epic. So looking forward to that show, Hardy, and I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. And I look forward to seeing you, man, in a month, whatever it is. All right.
We're gonna give it hell. I can't wait.
I love it, man. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day.
Okay, you too.
Bye, love.
Bye.